Peace. This is Wise for Wise Words Media. Back at y'all for another round. And last week, or a week and a half ago, I made a video regarding major news that broke in the world of boxing, where a fight has been announced to take place later on, late spring this year, between Inoue and Stephen Fulton. In this video, what rubbed a lot of people the wrong way, and y'all was all in my comment section talking about it, was the fact that I said Stephen Fulton, that Inoue is not a top 10 pound for pound fighter, and that I'm not putting him in my top 10 unless he beats Stephen Fulton. Now, a lot of y'all, man, 85% of y'all are easily led in the wrong direction, but hard to be led in the right. You see, false media programs your mind, man. They tell y'all, they dictate what y'all think and believe. But every fighter, it comes down to this. Every fighter must do this: show and prove. 2 words: show and prove. Every fighter, every great in the sport of boxing that's ever laced them up and stepped inside that ring has had to go up against an opponent that is an undefeated champion at the prime and height of their career. And that is the key victory that elevates their status to greatness, right? You could go down the list of any fighter. They all had that fight. Muhammad Ali, who is the consensus greatest of all time. Muhammad Ali had that moment against Joe Frazier. The 2 of them, undefeated. The fight was so huge, it took place in Madison Square Garden. It was a who's who that was in the crowd, because it was the fight of the century. Muhammad Ali lost that fight, but he came back, avenged the loss, and then won the 3rd fight, the rubber match. You got greats like Roberto Duran and Sugar Ray Leonard. See, interesting thing, and I'm going to address this thing in a separate video. A lot of these race bait YouTube channels, they like to talk about Sugar Ray Leonard beating Roberto Duran, and they always, the infamous no mas. So the casual fan may think that, oh, Leonard and Duran only fought 1 time and Leonard won. But these race bait pages, they don't talk about the first fight. So the casual fan or the young up-and-coming fan learning more about the sport and the history of it may not know there was a first fight. And guess who won in that first fight? Oh yeah, they won't tell you this. Roberto Duran. Roberto Duran moved up in weight. Not only did he win, he moved up in weight, and he outclassed Sugar Ray Leonard. So Duran, as the greatest, arguably the greatest lightweight of all time, had to step up in class and show and prove his greatness. And Sugar Ray had to show and prove his greatness going against this dangerous puncher that was fighter of the decade, and show and prove. Roberto Duran wins the first one, but then Sugar Ray shows and proves his greatness by winning the second one. And then he eventually wins the rubber match. So both of those men, zero on both of their loss columns. They both put it all on the line. They lost to one another, but they eventually, lost to one another. And they won against one another. Same thing goes for Ali Frazier. All the greats, man, all the greats have had to put that O on the line against another great fighter. Chavez versus Pernell Whitaker. Chavez versus Meldrick Taylor. You had Floyd Mayweather. Floyd Mayweather, a fight that made him pound for pound great and elevated his status was when he took on the dangerous Diego Chico Corrales. Many don't even know or don't remember, but at the time of that fight, Diego Chico Corrales was ranked higher than Floyd Mayweather in the pound-for-pound rankings. Chico Corrales, I think, was like number 2. Floyd was number 5 or something like that. But he had a few spots above Floyd Mayweather. So they both had that fight to show and prove. And guess who wins that one? Floyd mops the floor. He destroys Diego Corrales. To what? Show and prove his greatness. So, you want to come at me talking about, somebody even said Asian hater. Yo, because I asked the man to simply show and prove? What's wrong with these guys? So, yo, yeah, you could go down the line. All of these fighters had to have that fight against another undefeated. Terrence Crawford. Victor Postal was avoided. Unless you're a real boxing head, you wouldn't know about this, but Victor Postal was the boogeyman. He annihilated the guy that was avoided heavily at that time, and Lucas Matisse. He annihilated Lucas Matisse and became the boogeyman. And guess who beat him? Terrence Crawford. Terrence Crawford destroys him. Gamboa, another, at that point of his career, Gamboa was avoided. Guess who beat him? Undefeated against undefeated. Terrence Crawford. Come on, man. Come on, like, what are we talking about here, man? What are we talking about here? You have to show and prove. You have to. Devin Haney wanted greatness. He went all the way to Australia to take on an undefeated champion in his territory. And won. Not once, twice overseas. That's how you establish greatness. Shakur Stevenson for years calling out Oscar Valdez for a mega showdown between two undefeated young talents to unify the belts. After years of calling out Valdez, Valdez finally agrees. What happens? Shakur Stevenson beats him, establishing greatness. Somebody's O had to go. So, yo, I say all this to say, credit to Inoue. I give Inoue a lot of credit. Because Inoue could have pulled the Canelo move and move up in weight and fight Rocky Fielding. He could have fought a Rocky Fielding. But no, Inoue didn't do that. Inoue moved up and he went straight to the #1 guy. The #1 guy in that new weight class. The champion, Stephen Fulton. He went straight to him. So, tremendous amount of credit and love to Inoue for that. But to put him #1, #2, or even top 5, I'm not going to do that. He needs to show and prove. He needs that one defining fight and that one defining victory. And this one right here coming up is the one against Stephen Fulton. He beats him. He beats Cool Boy Steph. I'm with you. He deserves the top 10 pound for pound. But until then, you're not going to skip the line of guys like Jamel Charlo, who took on multiple undefeated fighters. Multiple. Erickson Lubin. Tony Harrison. Come on, man. Damn, it slips my name who he just fought to become undisputed. Another undefeated champion. Tough fighter. You're not going to do that. No, you're not going to skip the line. He beat guys that were established like Austin Trout. Established champions. Come on, nah, you're not going to do that. You're not going to skip the line. Not on my watch. Bivol? Dimitri Bivol? Bivol, who just beat the face of boxing and then beat a boogeyman in that division. He had the two biggest victories. The combined body of work for the year of 2022, Bivol's the #1. Bivol's fighter of the year for beating those two caliber fighters. Name one undefeated fighter Inoue has beaten. Name one. I'll wait. Why hasn't Inoue fought Estrada or Chocolatito? Huh? Huh? Why he hasn't fought any of them dudes? He has not fought Estrada, Chocolatito. He didn't fight any of them. So I'm not going to give him the credit of becoming #1, #2, or even top 5 pound for pound for beating a 37 and then a 39-year-old version of Nonito Donaire. I'm not giving him that. He has to show and prove. He has to beat somebody younger than their prime. All those fights that I mentioned earlier were young people fighting in their prime against another young person in their prime, prime for prime, undefeated record against undefeated record, unified champion against unified, or to unify, to take their greatness to that next level. Roy Jones, he had to fight lights out James Toney, undefeated against undefeated. And Roy Jones beat James Toney. That was the career-defining joint for Roy Jones. Come on, man, you could go through the list. You could go through the list. So on that note, man, all I'm going to say is, yes, I do have Stephen Fulton beating Inoue. He is bigger. He has a longer reach. He has a nice jab and great footwork. If he sticks to that plan and he doesn't get too fancy in there and try to mix it up too much or leave himself open with his hands down, if he sticks to the script, jab, control the distance, 1-2, 1-2 hook, spin off, head movement, and just use the jab, you're going to see Teofimo Lopez versus Lomachenko Part 2. Put it that way. So we'll pick this back up. Leave a comment, like, subscribe. Let's build. Peace.